We have to do it, Patriots fans. We just have to do it. On today's episode of Patriots Today by Chat Sports, myself, Nick Roloff, going to chime in as well, a.k.a. Rolly. Bill Belichick replacements, 5 coaches plus some honorable mentions that we believe could be the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And I do want to get to this note first. Dan Orlovsky hopped on Pat McAfee's show today, and he's heard that Belichick will be the coach and GM of another team next season and said he's already heard that a location has potentially already been determined. And I can only assume by location he means like a city of an NFL franchise. Could it be the Washington Commanders? Could it be a team like the Las Vegas Raiders? Could it be a team like the Chicago Bears? Who knows? And look, Orlovsky's not a reporter, but he's obviously well tapped in NFL circles. He's going to hear some stuff. So it's hard to know what's true and what's not. But I think what is growing in likelihood that a divorce between Belichick and the Patriots is at least a very high possibility after this season at this point in time. So Patriots fans, I know there are a lot of emotions involved. That's why I want to hear from you guys here. Should the Patriots fire Bill Belichick right now? Type F for fire him or K for keep him. I think I would wait until the end of the season personally, but I am in the camp that I do think after this season it is time for a new era of Patriots football. Let us know what you guys think. And Rolly, give us your thoughts as well as the lifelong Patriots fan.
Yeah, I feel like a broken record here, Harrison. I have been constantly saying that the Patriots should not fire Belichick midseason. He's had too much history, too much success here. It would not be the proper send-off to can him midseason, but there's been so much smoke, and our good friend Mitchell Renz always says where there's smoke, there's fire, and there has been a ton of smoke surrounding Belichick leaving in the offseason, and then there's been Ben Violin reporting it could happen midseason.
Albert Breer had a report about a month ago.
It just feels like chaos, and it's almost to the point where, like, I'm starting to lean closer in the direction of moving on midseason and maybe seeing what you have in Gerard Mayo for the remainder of the season. It's just like there's so much going on right now, it almost makes sense to move on, Harrison, at this point, midseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens. I kind of think if they would have done a midseason firing after this last game and during the bye week would have made sense, but who knows? You almost get the vibe that, like, Belichick and Kraft have already had the talk behind closed doors and that they're just kind of playing out the string. Who knows if that's true, but I think what is growing in likelihood is that they are going to have a new head coach, which is why we're going to take a look at some candidates here. Let's start with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions. I think he's the hottest name on the head coach market right now, at least among coordinators at this point in time. What he's done with Jared Goff and really that Lions offense as a whole has been sensational. They're averaging 27 points per game this year. Good yards. Passing attack has been good. Only have 10 turnovers. They're taking care of the football. And I think more impressive than any of just the raw stats for a team, Rolly, is kind of the revelation with Jared Goff. I mean, he had good years under Sean McVay, but I think a lot of people were like, okay, Sean McVay maxed out Jared Goff, and he got to a point where Goff just couldn't get them over the hump unless things were perfect around him. Well, he kind of is considered a throw-in in that Matthew Stafford trade, Rolly, and what he's done in Detroit is he's been a fringe top 10 quarterback in this league the last couple of years.
Yeah, Jared Goff has been terrific over the past couple seasons with Detroit, and I've kind of dubbed Ben Johnson a nickname, if you will, and it's just very simple, but a little Benny J action.
I like it.
And I've talked in depth with you about other teams potentially hiring Ben Johnson. I think he would be my number one candidate to replace Bill Belichick. I've said I think this is an offensive league that we're in right now, and the Patriots have to move on with the times and hire an offensive head coach. Ben Johnson, probably the hottest name like you mentioned, doing a great job with the Lions. I would be all in on bringing in Benny J to be the successor to Bill Belichick, and especially if you have a new quarterback next year, he'd be able to take him under his wing.
It's not Benny and the Jets. It's Benny and the Pats. Shout out to Elton John. But, yeah, I'm all in on Ben Johnson. I fully expect him to be a head coach in this cycle. He would have been last year, but he pulled his name out of a couple of hats, wanted to stick with Detroit for another year, waiting for a better opportunity. I think a lot of teams are going to be interested. So would you want Ben Johnson as the next Patriots head coach? If so, type Y for yes. If not, if you want someone else, type N for no. I think the other hottest name, just in general, is Jim Harbaugh for a multitude of reasons. One, you got the drama going on at Michigan. He might just look to get out of there. And two, he wanted the Vikings job last year. I've got that on pretty good authority, but I don't think Minnesota wanted to give up player control. However, Bill Belichick has been the head coach and the GM of the Patriots, so we know Robert Kraft has been comfortable with that model in the past. Now, would he want to do that again? That remains to be seen. Now, say what you want about Harbaugh. He's a quirky guy. He's a bit bizarre. The cheating accusations aren't great right now at the University of Michigan, but everywhere he goes, he wins. I mean, he's got the University of San Diego going, almost winning every game he straps it up there. He turned Stanford around, got them to a New Year's Six bowl game. 49ers were in the Super Bowl, a couple of NFC championship games there. Michigan is on the cusp of potentially winning a national championship. Like, he hasn't gotten to the mountaintop. He didn't win a Super Bowl in San Francisco. He hasn't won a national championship yet, Rolly, but the baseline for him is you're going to be competitive. Like that's kind of the floor with Harbaugh. Can you get all the way with him? Technically, he hasn't proven that, but as bad as it's been this year, I think in New England, if you want to win pretty quickly, I think Jim Harbaugh's proven he can get you turned around pretty fast.
Yeah, I know you've been on record saying that he'd be able to come in and do good things in New England, and I don't disagree, but I just think I'm overall out. I don't know if I want to deal with a transition from college to NFL right now with the next Patriots head coach. I'd rather have someone who's been in the NFL the past 2 or 3 seasons, because the last time Harbaugh was in the NFL, it was a much different league. I'd like to have someone that's been in the NFL for the past 2 or 3 seasons, and obviously with all the cheating stuff, listen, Bill Belichick, you can't say he's relatively clean, so it'd be nice to have a nice clean slate at head coach.
Start fresh in that regard. Jim Harbaugh, welcome home. You are a New England Patriot. We'll see where that goes. I do think Harbaugh will garner interest if he shows interest in the National Football League once again, which I think he might, considering how things are going at Michigan. But we are sponsored by Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy with Prize Picks. And guys, Rolly and I are having fun playing Prize Picks every single night. Some juicy college basketball games tonight. If you want to get in on that action, you can cross over sports as well. You can do kind of like combo options that they give you. Like you look at this one, Rolly, if you want to help talk me through some of these picks. You got the Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce combo here.
Yeah, I don't know what this one's all about. It's basically just taking Travis Kelce, because how the heck is Jason Kelce going to score a touchdown? But we also have more than C.J. Stroud, 1.5 passing touchdowns. We'll get to him shortly, but he's been phenomenal. More than Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns and more than CeeDee Lamb receiving yards. We like the more thans this week, Harrison.
Yeah, we like big numbers on this Prize Picks entry. Also, speaking of big numbers, this is 10 to win $100. You can win up to 25 times your entry on any given Prize Picks entry that you make. So get started, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. What's cool about Prize Picks, you're not playing other players. It's just you versus the projections. 2 to 6 players on any given entry. The more players there are, the more money you can make, the more risk involved as well. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get you a $100 deposit when you sign up. All right, we have to include them, but I think Rolly and I are very much in the same realm here. Josh McDaniels, former Raiders head coach, which, by the way, they're 2-0 without him, obviously did a lot of good things with the Patriots as an offensive coordinator. Mac Jones' best year was with Josh McDaniels. I get all that, but that's going to be a no from me, dog. A no from us, dog. Like, it was so obvious that players in that Raiders locker room did not respect him. I mean, it's just so clear. And I think in today's NFL especially, like, sure, you can have some of that hard-ass mentality, but if you don't have players that respect you, you got no shot. So I just don't think you can go back to that well. I think the McDaniels thing is over with. I don't know what his future looks like in this league, probably as an OC somewhere, but I'm not going down the Josh McDaniels trail if I am New England, and Rolly feels the same. Bobby Slowik. Now, this is a trail that Rolly and I are very intrigued with. What Bobby Slowik, Rolly, has done with C.J. Stroud in his rookie season has been nothing short of phenomenal.
I mean, C.J. Stroud is the runaway favorite for NFL Rookie of the Year offensively, and is, no joke, in the MVP conversation what Slowik has been able to do with a rookie quarterback, number 2 overall pick, C.J. Stroud, but not even taking away just what C.J. Stroud's done. This roster on the offensive side of the football for Houston did not look that talented coming into the season, but they're cooking, they're winning games. Slowik, a young coach, if I will, 36 years old, has just absolutely been phenomenal for Houston. The surprise of the NFL season. And I know he's young, not a lot of experience, but he's a player's coach, and he's getting the most out of his players right now in Houston. I'm kind of all in, Harrison.
I also like this about Bobby Slowik. He came over with DeMeco Ryans from San Francisco, so he was under Kyle Shanahan for a little bit of time there. Now he's got this play calling experience under his belt. Sure, when you hire a coach in their 30s, there's always a risk, but we've seen some of those guys work out. Sean McVay, a lot of success with the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm open to this idea. Remember, too, with Houston this year, if you haven't followed them, they've had a ton of injuries on that offensive line. It's been a bit of a turnstile. They've just plugged away there. Devin Singletary having to fill in at running back. He's running the rock better than he ever has. So Slowik has clearly opened up that offense despite having guys who have gone down. And guys like Nico Collins have emerged. Tank Dell looks like one of the best rookie wide receivers. So this guy deserves a lot of credit. Is he ready to be a head coach after 1 year of being a play caller? That's a fair question to ask, but I don't think anyone saw this coming from C.J. Stroud to this level. I think people thought he'd be good, but to just kind of dominate as he has at times and to be an undisputed top 10 quarterback in the NFL in his rookie season, that's not something that happens very often. All right, guys, subscribe to the channel. If Bill Belichick exits and the Patriots hire a new head coach, we're going to go live on Patriots Today. That is the plan, so hit that sub button, turn on your notifications. We want to keep you guys in the loop every single time something happens around the Patriots, but especially if the great Bill Belichick exits and this team goes in a new direction. So hit that sub button for daily Patriots videos. All right, one more name here, then we'll take a look at some honorable mentions. How about Eric Bieniemy? The chatter in Kansas City, he had a bunch of interviews. There was all kinds of rumors. Well, maybe he doesn't interview well, or, well, that's Andy Reid's offense. He finally said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go to Washington, call plays there. And I get it, the Commanders aren't a great team. It's been a hit and miss at times, but he's done a pretty damn good job with Sam Howell, a second-year quarterback who was a fifth-round pick last year. Brian Robinson's been running the football well. The offense hasn't been the problem. The defense has been, and with Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio running that side of the football, Eric Bieniemy has shown that he can run his own offense. It's not fully the Andy Reid show. And by the way, I think it's worth mentioning too that I'm not dismissing Andy Reid at all. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, but probably the worst year the Chiefs have had offensively in several seasons the year after Bieniemy leaves. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but Bieniemy, I think, is going to get an opportunity to be a head coach at some point, and maybe the Patriots are that opportunity for him. Now, who should succeed Bill Belichick? Who should be the next Patriots head coach? Drop a name in the comments. Maybe we're missing somebody right now. Or, hell, if you say Bill Belichick should stick around, drop his name as well. Some honorable mentions, and we can bring Rolly back on screen here to chime in on some of these. Obviously, Gerard Mayo, and just to start there, Rolly, I think the one advantage if you go with the midseason departure with Belichick is you could give Mayo at least an opportunity to show what he can do for you down the stretch of the season.
And if you remember when we talked about Gerard Mayo rumors just a week ago on the channel, we kind of mentioned how Mayo was a hot commodity this past offseason when it came to the coaching mill. He declined to go through with some of the interviews and return to New England. It felt like a handshake agreement between him, Belichick, and Kraft that Mayo was going to continue to learn under Belichick and potentially replace the legend in Foxbourough as the next head coach. I don't know how that's going to continue to go on with how this season has pretty much happened. So maybe Mayo is not going to really be the successor we thought. But listen, I'd be open to seeing what he has for the rest of the season in these last 8 to 7 games. Just a couple guys on this list as well. Frank Smith, the OC for Miami, but he doesn't really call plays. I think I'm kind of out on that, Harrison, if I'm going to be honest. Kellen Moore is intriguing, but he also doesn't scream competent head coach to me.
Yeah, like, I think Kellen Moore's a creative guy. I think at times he, like, almost, like, outdoes himself when he's calling plays. It's like he doesn't always do, like, the obvious thing. But he does run a creative offense. I think, he proved that in Dallas. I think even though the Chargers have been up and down this year, when things are clicking, it looks like the best offense in the NFL at times. I think Shane Waldron, Roley, has done a great job with Geno Smith, helping resurrect his career in Seattle. I think he could be a name. And then, look, there's been a lot of offensive talk on this list, but Dan Quinn last year, the last couple of cycles, has had opportunities. He's been patient. He's been a successful head coach in Atlanta before, obviously got to a Super Bowl. We know what happened in that game against the New England Patriots. But he's proven he can lead a franchise to pretty serious heights. So if you are going to go defense, having a guy who's had the job before and has done it well makes a lot of sense to me. So consider him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn would probably be the number one defensive guy in my mind that the Patriots could hire. Obviously, Mayo is a defensive guy, but when you're talking external candidates, I think Quinn's the number one that comes from a defensive mind. But there was a lot of offensive guys on here, like Harrison mentioned. It's kind of by design because I feel that way. I know Harrison feels it as well, that the Patriots need to shift to an offensive-minded head coach with how bad the offense has been over the past 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, the one thing about Quinn, too, is that I feel like if you did hire him, you could trust him to find an offensive coordinator. So that's why I would be intrigued with him, like he found Kyle Shanahan when he was in Atlanta. That obviously was a big deal. But listen, we'll see how this all plays out. I do think Belichick is gone after this year, barring a significant change. Be sure to subscribe. More Patriots news, rumors. There's buzz that Mac Jones might be benched. We might talk about that on tomorrow's show, so stay tuned for that. I'm Harrison Graham. Shout out to Roley. We'll see you guys soon here on Patriots Today.